Welcome to the Belated Tech Channel's 75th edition and second year of the Space and Tech Rewind. We are reviewing the milestones that occurred on each day in the week of November 15th through November 21st in space exploration, science, and technology. November 15th, 1988. The Soviet Union launched its first space shuttle, Buran, Russian for snowstorm, unmanned from the Baikonur Cosmodrome's Launch Complex 110 on its first and only orbital flight on this date. The Communist Federation authorized its shuttle program in 1976 in response to the U.S. Space Shuttle program, which had started in 1970. The flight was unmanned because the life support system was not yet operational, and the display avionics had no software installed. The Buran was launched into a 250-kilometer orbit. The limits of the Buran's prototype computer meant that the flight was held to 2 orbits in 206 minutes before the spacecraft re-entered the atmosphere and safely touched down back at the Cosmodrome. Afterwards, the project's funding was cut and eventually canceled by the Russian Federation in 1993 after the collapse of the Soviet Union. We previously covered the Buran in Milestones 31, Milestone 60, Milestone 67, and Milestones 113. November 16th, 1972, Skylab 4, carrying astronauts Gerald Carr, William Pogue, and Edward Gibson, was launched on a Saturn 1B rocket from the Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39B on this date. This 84-day mission remained the longest American spaceflight for over 2 decades, until Norman Thagard broke it aboard Mir in 1995, and Shannon Lucid did so in 2003. The Skylab 4 crew maintained their physical conditioning by walking on treadmills and riding on an onboard stationary bicycle. Among the thousands of experiments conducted during this flight, the astronauts took 4 spacewalks, including one on Christmas Day to observe the comet Kohoutek. After 1,214 orbits, the crew returned to Earth, splashing down on February 8, 1974. The amphibious assault ship USS New Orleans recovered the capsule and crew. November 17, 1970, a U.S. patent was issued for the computer mouse to engineer Doug Engelbart on this date. The first mouse was a simple hollowed-out wooden block with a single push button on top. The rudimentary device was part of a computer workstation and network he had been developing with colleagues at the Stanford Research Institute, later known as SRI International. Although Engelbart filed the patent, the rights to it were owned by SRI, who eventually licensed it a decade later to Apple Computer for only $40,000. He never received a penny for his invention. Several of Engelbart's colleagues left SRI to join Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center, where they integrated the idea of a computer mouse with a graphical user interface-driven computer. That workstation eventually became the Xerox 8010, which was succeeded by the Xerox 6085. Xerox personal computers were easily the most advanced throughout the 1970s and 1980s, and the company sold hundreds of thousands of the expensive units. Unfortunately, the company didn't know how to compete with cheaper IBM 386 and later PC clones, and Xerox meekly returned to its roots in photocopiers in the 1990s. We covered Xerox previously in Milestones 137, the IBM PC in Milestones 70 and Milestones 117, and the Apple II in Milestones 98 and Episode 4. Want to know how to navigate our channel content? We refer to tech documentary segments as episodes. Coverage of current events in space exploration, science, and technology are labeled as shorts. Space and tech history are documented in an anthology called Milestones. Gameplay recordings can be discovered on the Belated Tech Gaming channel in videos called walkthroughs and side missions. Reviews of tools and equipment hail from the Tool Crib, and reviews of small electronics and appliances arrive by way of the Radio Shed. Looking for a specific video on our channel that we may have mentioned in one of our other videos? Links to those episodes can be found in the description section below. Also, we have begun labeling our video titles with numbers, such as M105 for Milestones 105, or S49 for Short 49, so viewers can perform a title search. Finally, you can peruse our entire 300-plus video library by looking at our playlists, which conveniently sort videos by subject. November 18th, 1477. English printer William Caxton produced the first book printed in England on this date. Titled The Sayings of the Philosophers, the book was a Middle English translation of the original Syrian Arabic work written 200 years earlier. Caxton had also printed the first book in the English language 2 years before, a collection of the histories of Troy, which was a translation from the French original written contemporaneously by Raoul Lefebvre, the chaplain to the Duke of Burgundy. Caxton printed that book in Cologne, which was then part of the Holy Roman Empire. Caxton had returned to England in 1476, where he used his experience from abroad to set up a printing and publishing business at, quote, the Sign of the Red Pale, within the precincts of Westminster Abbey. Over the next 15 years, he printed 107 works, including 74 books. Caxton died in 1491 at age 69. November 19th, 1895. The first U.S. patent for a paper pencil was issued to Frederick Blaisdell of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA on this date. He received his patent the same day that he received a patent for the machine that manufactured his pencil design. Paper pencils differ from that of pencils sheathed in wood, and that the marking medium is covered in paper and sharpened by pulling on a string, thus needing no additional tools to remain functional. In 2021, the most used type of paper pencil is called the China marker, or grease pencil. Rather than graphite, the marking medium is colored wax, which is used to mark hard, glossy, non-porous surfaces. Grease pencils are used for marking photographs, x-rays, maps, audio tape, and film, and are often used as a construction or handyman's marking tool, as it rarely scratches the surface it is used on. And, of course, they are used by artists the world over. Have you agreed with our choices, or do you think there are other events in space and tech history that are better? Go ahead and share with us by dropping a comment below. If you have suggestions for a space and tech milestone, let us know. We'll credit events we pick for future videos to those viewers that post them. We hope you have been enjoying our content. Have we earned your subscription to our channel? If yes, and you have not taken the opportunity to subscribe, please take a moment to do so now, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss upcoming videos. We want to continue delivering great content to you. You can always unsubscribe, and subscribing is free. November 20th, 1998. The first module of the International Space Station was launched on a Russian Proton rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome on this date. The $240 million gyrofunctional cargo block was followed 2 weeks later by the Unity connecting module from the US. After 16 years of planning and design, the International Space Station was taking shape. The ISS project, initiated by NASA in 1983, also involved Canada, Japan, and the 11 members of the European Space Agency. After the Cold War, the Russians had been invited to participate, not merely as an exercise in international cooperation, but also to employ Russian scientists who might have otherwise sold their expertise to renegade countries. In 2021, the Russian Federation operates half of the ISS, while the US and its partners operate the other half. The ISS is currently intended to be operated until 2030, after which it is thought it will be replaced in orbit by a number of commercial stations currently in planning. November 21st, 1919. U.S. President Wilson was said to have used a radio telephone set upon the south portico of the White House on this date to direct the maneuvers of a dozen Army airplanes flying over the Potomac River several miles away. The instrument was similar to those used by American aviators in France in the latter part of World War I. The U.S. Army had begun developing ground-to-air radio in 1910. By 1916, the Army succeeded in sending a radio telegraph signal from a plane to the ground, and by October of 1917, voice messages could be sent. The system was put into service for military wartime use. It is unlikely Wilson made such a call, at least unassisted. On October 2, 1919, Wilson suffered a stroke that left him paralyzed on the left side with only partial vision in his right eye. It was clear by the end of the month that the president, although at times lucid, suffered from a form of dementia and was permanently enfeebled. It is generally understood by historians that Wilson's wife Edith actually ran the country for the last 16 months of her husband's second term. Wilson left office in 1921 and died in 1924. He was 68. Radio communications and aircraft became the norm during the 1920s. On October 28, 2021, Facebook announced it was changing its name to Meta, which would, quote, focus on bringing the metaverse to life. Welcome to the next chapter of social connection. The name change was formally announced by Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg during the company's virtual reality and augmented reality conference, Facebook Connect. Zuckerberg, it seems, is experiencing a midlife crisis. Facebook went on to say in a blog post, quote, the metaverse will feel like a hybrid of today's online social experiences, sometimes expanded into 3 dimensions or projected into the physical world. It will let you share immersive experience with other people even when you can't be together, and do things together you couldn't do in the physical world. Presumably, the company was referring to the intrusion of data collection devices such as cameras, Ring, for example, and microphones, Alexa for another example, into homes and businesses that will be leveraged for Facebook's benefit and profits. Hopefully, consumers and entrepreneurs will wake up to the danger before that happens. We hope you enjoyed this 75th episode of Way to Tech Space and Tech Rewind. If so, click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe or just stay in touch by following us on our microblogging accounts, which are listed below, as well as in the community feed for this channel. We announce all new videos on those outlets. Stay connected by occasionally checking our Instagram feed and Minds page, where we post content from our upcoming episodes and from episodes past that you may have missed, and where we cover current news and events related to channel content. Thanks for watching.